Good morning, everybody. I'll do a quick video this morning because I keep hearing that. It's one of those questions. Who's the one? Who makes the decisions? Who is it? Everybody's like, somebody's in charge, and they're usually one. Who is it? Who is it? Because in this country, who is it? Just along, who is it? Who's the one? Because it's pretty obvious. It comes down to it. There's somebody's making this stuff go haywire. Somebody's making all these decisions. There's a lot of people, say they. Oh, and speaking of, one of them that might be they. I was watching a episode of The Office last night, and I just barely caught it, where James Spader is Robert California playing their new boss, and he thinks he's in an intellectual discussion with Kevin, and he says, "Who says BlackRock is the quintessential hedge fund? Whoever said that?" And he's pissed, about BlackRock. Well, we know who BlackRock is, right? Most of us do anyway. And it's funny, I mean, it's out there in plain sight. They tell us all the time. Who knew BlackRock until the conspiracy theorists started really slinging their stuff. Oh, sorry. I never heard of BlackRock or Vanguard. I never heard of them. I always thought same thing. Fine, there's some big companies and each one owns a few hundred, but I don't know, there's like one or two that have all of them. So my question on that is, if BlackRock and Vanguard have the majority stakehold in all these companies, how do the CEOs and heads of those companies stand in front of people and go, "This is my company. I built this company. I'm running this company. This is my company." No, it's not. It's not yours. They own it. They own it. They own it, not you. Why can't you just tell us the truth? Wow. I haven't even asked yet. Is my sound okay? I had my phone up. Okay. Never know till you know. But I haven't even had my wake and bake yet, and I'm already coughing. But who is it? Who is the one? Who's the one? People say it all the time, right? The songs. Sorry again. Excuse me. But songs say, we can never get to that one. Who is the one? Who's it? And in my view, in my opinion, it's the devil loosed. That's who's running it. I mean, you want to point to a man and say, "Hey, that man is the problem." But who's controlling that man? Right? What rules that man's world? Anybody wants to come in is always welcome. I put the link in the chat. But you know what I mean? Who is it? Who is it? Now I started and I didn't finish it, but I highly recommend Nicholson 1968 just put out His first video in over a year. And this is weird, man. In this video, and he didn't come right out and say it, but he did not say it. He, in the last year, 5 family members, I think, both his parents, father-in-law, like an aunt, uncle, like 5 people in his family in this last year died. And he couldn't say it wasn't because of his content he put out about the powers that be and the things going on. And he can't say it was because of them. But, there's a lot of people in 1 year that were just the way he talked about it. He didn't say, "Oh, these were all expected. We were waiting. It was, it was one of those deals." He didn't say that, and he didn't say, you can tell by tone, But we're in a weird time, man. Weird. Who's the one? Oh, funny little ditty. Out in front of my house, I'm having a new driveway poured. Not poured. A culvert put in. We're spreading rock over it. But when the crew came to set the culvert, there was 3 guys and a female. One guy was the head guy. He got to handle a little laser deal. Nobody else got to touch it. Another guy got to hold the pole and lean on a shovel. And the other guy drove the excavator. And there was a female that drove the dump truck that had a little bit of asphalt in it that they pack around it. Well, they just get going, hardly going at all. And the female comes up to the cab of the guy in the excavator, and she reaches up with 2 fingers. She goes, "There was a puddle under my truck, and this is on it. And I don't know what it is." And he says, "It's oil." He says, "Go find out where it's coming from." He's working. She's like, "Okay." He goes and they can work, do the ditch, this. And like 15 minutes later, she comes over, she has her phone, and she took a picture, and she goes, "Look, I think that's where it's coming from." Looking at it, and they said, "Yeah, that's a port for the dipstick." Guy says, go see if it's broken or if it just came out. He goes back a few minutes. She's, I don't know. And standing there watching this, it struck me. This is one of those scenarios that the feminists will say, women only make 77 cents on the dollar. Well, in this scenario, is she worth what the guys are worth? Because the guy went over and fixed it. He fixed it for her on her truck that she checked out to drive for the day to do her work. And it just struck me that right there. I mean, that's a simple one. She can drive the dump truck, and she can dump her loads, and she can do all that. But maintenance on the vehicle, granted, it was good. She noticed the puddle under the truck. She says, "There's 2 puddles. One is the water from the AC, and the other one, I don't know what it is." This is one of those deals where we see it in real time. We can bake with you guys that it's not discriminatory. It's merit-based. And if you have these skills, you're worth more to me. If I send you out in a truck and something like that happens, you're not going to call back in and go, "Hey, this is messed up." If she'd been, just doing a job on her own, taking a dump and a load, and she sees that, what does she do? She calls into the shop, and they send a mechanic, because the mechanic doesn't know that the truck is not hurt. She doesn't know. She can't, relay that to them. And then when you go over and you see the puddle, it's not about that big. Not a bunch. Wasn't a whole lot. But good for her. She saw it. Right? That's good. A lot of women wouldn't have. And then later in the day, my guy comes over to start doing my landscaping. I'm having done, and he's got a girl with him. He's got a female on his crew, and she worked her ass off. She grabbed a shovel and she grabbed a pick, and she was kicking some ass. And I was like, man, wow, that's I wanted to get Alex, my daughter, out there and go, look at this. This woman's 48 years old, and she's hitting it with a pick. She's hitting it with a shovel. She's running the wheelbarrow. She's, she's kicking ass. So I would pay her more, right? Because watching her and the guy do a little bit. He'd stop and lean on the shovel, wipe sweat off himself. Just kind of wait. He'd do a little more. She'd finish that, and then she'd go sit down, take a drink, take her break. And he just radical. I don't know. It wasn't that bad, but between the two of them, just for what that day's work was about that I saw, I wouldn't pay one more than the other. Because she didn't have to be told what to do. She, anything like that. But in the big picture, like you see in that scenario, the boss, he's the one that gives orders. And then you start moving up. We start moving up in institutions. We start moving up into governments. Who's the one? Who's the one? You look at that bureaucracy in Washington, and oh my God, each department has thousands of employees. And out of those thousands, they have hundreds that are in charge of hundreds. And then management. And then, they got the hierarchy. And nobody knows who's in charge, because at any given moment, every one of them can get a memo, and they'll change course immediately. Not their ideas, not their directions. It's somebody else's, right? So what do? Who's the one? Will we ever know? Will we ever even know? Well, we will. We know God. We know God's the one. But here on earth, who is that man? So many people want to know. Or is it a woman? So many people want to know. Who is it? Oh my God. Y'all gotta see this. Oh, I forgot about
what would happen?
I gotta show y'all this. This is too funny. Y'all gotta tell me after y'all see this how completely ignorant is this. Oh my God. Where did I put it? Right here. Your favorite guy, Neil Dumbass Tyson. Listen to this. Wait till you see this.
And if the Earth stopped rotating for a second?
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous. Disastrous. Because right now, here in New York, you can calculate at our latitude, we are all moving with the Earth at 800 miles an hour due east, because Earth is rotating. If you stopped Earth and you weren't seat belt buckled to the Earth, you would fall over and roll 800 miles an hour due east. It would kill everyone on Earth. People would be flying out of windows, and that would just be a bad day on Earth.
What would happen if the
Wow.
Earth...
Oh my God. They say we can't feel it spinning, but by God, if it stops, you're going to feel it. You're going to go rolling 800 miles an hour if you're not seat belted down to the earth. Can you believe that? Wow. What about I guess the people at the equator are going to go rolling at 1,000 miles an hour. I want to be at one of the poles because I'm only going to go rolling 300-400 miles an hour. It's not going to be that bad on me when it stops spinning. When I saw that last night, I was like, oh my God. That is just so ridiculous. Oh my God. Oh, and I watched the this guy did a critique on the Dave Weiss debate with that Professor Dave, and that guy did a good job because before he started the video, he said, okay, each one of them has a counter on their screen. And when they do an ad hominem attack, when they do a logical fallacy, when they lie, I'm going to give them a click. We'll count up how many times they do this. Well, Jesus Christ, by the end of it, Professor Dave had like 280 something fallacies, ad hominem attacks or something. And Dave Weiss had 10. And of Dave Weiss's 10, 7 of them were him going, could you just stop being a dick and let me talk? You know, that was, he'd get a click for it because that's an attack. Yeah, like 10. That dude had like 280 something. And it was just such, oh my God, that guy's such a retard. And I don't know why Dave Weiss would have even gone on there. It was just, wow, that was painful because that guy's such an idiot. Dave Weiss at one time asked him, he says, do you know what spectroscopy is? And the guy goes, yeah, I doubt that you do. What is it? And Dave goes, well, it's when you do measurements with infrared lights into the gases of the atmosphere to, didn't even let him get it spit out. It's all yours. See, you're a moron. It has nothing to do with gases. God, you're an idiot. See, that's why I don't want to talk to you people, because you're so stupid. And the guy stops him and he pulls up the definition of spectroscopy. And it's exactly what Dave Weiss was saying. This guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. And he did that about a dozen times or more during this debate, when he would just tell Dave, you're stupid. You're an idiot. That's not what that means. You don't even know what you're talking about. So dude would stop the video, go get the definition, and Dave was right. He was right every time. And this idiot was just, he's so dumb. And in his synopsis that he wrote about the debate, he's like, people have been asking me to do this forever, and I don't want to until this other channel said they'd mediate it. And I couldn't help but, I couldn't pass up a chance to destroy a flat earther. I've destroyed flat earth 1,000 times. I'll do it again. And once you see this video, you'll see how I completely destroy him and humiliate him. And that's, oh my golly. These people got some balls, man. It's just wow. Wow. And when Dave Weiss would try to explain something to him, he would never let him finish. Not once. Every time he jumped in. Every time he was asked a question, he would regurgitate a heliocentric, talking point. And his two buddies several times when he made rude comments to Dave, they would laugh like he had gotten him. Gotcha. But it was completely wrong. It was just wrong. And these guys didn't know any more than that dude did. But the guy critiquing the video pointed out about halfway through, his two buddies, they quit laughing. They were listening. They were sitting there intent listening, and they didn't say anything. Not once did one of them even, pop up and go, hey, I've heard about that. Wait a minute, Professor Dave, or wait a minute. No, nobody ever got in. But boy, about halfway through, they were sitting there listening to Dave. Professor Dave, they weren't listening to him because he was in there. But if you get a chance, go watch it. I think it's on the Flat Earth, Sun and Moon. It's about 2 hours long, but it's one of those where the guy will anytime he stops the video, he goes into a good explanation of what they just talked about, what they just said, how Professor Dave says nothing. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't even, and that's what's crazy. Dave Weiss says it all the time, but they don't even know their own beliefs. It's like a religion. It's like people who tell you, well, it's in the Bible, but it's a completely misstated, phrase, but they think it's in the Bible. And these people are the same way. They don't care. They take a theory, man, and it's just gospel. It's gospel. It's good enough for them. But what do you do? What do you do with those kind of people? They're in those positions where they can, they got a big audience, and they can dang sure influence people. It ain't cool. It ain't cool at all. Oh, did you see the late night talk shows? Jimmy Kimmel was one of them I saw. And he came out after the whole Martha's Vineyard thing. And he says, these Republicans, they tried a backhanded strategy, something to that effect. He says, but it backfired on them. It backfired on them. They tried this, and we showed them our compassion. We showed them how to care. And I was like, yeah, you got them sons of bitches out of there quicker than any state has ever deported any illegals, man. You guys. And now memes are going around about that's what we need, a Martha's Vineyard style immigration policy. 50 of them hit the ground. Poosh, you get them out of here fast as possible. You be real nice and smile and go, they enriched our lives while they were here. One lady was quoted as saying, well, we didn't want to tell them we were taking them to a military base. That has negative connotations. So you lied to them. You told them, yeah, we're taking you to a really nice place, a dormitory. You'll love this dormitory. You know, and one guy even heard him saying to another congressman, the congressman's talking about how these sanctuary cities wanted they want to be sanctuary cities. They want these people. They want to care for them. So we accommodated them. And somebody over on the side, you can't see who it says, he pines in, yeah, human trafficking. It's like, what? The government does it every day. They put people in buses and on planes and send them all over the U.S. into our communities, small communities, not sanctuary communities. And excuse me. And they start telling us that when we send 50 on a private jet with coupons in their pockets for when they land, they can go to restaurants and get food. I tell them that was traumatic. You were trafficking these people. They're so traumatized. Well, geez, how traumatized were they when they hit Martha's Vineyard and they looked around and they were like, that's pretty sweet. And then within 24 hours, they're back on. They're on an army base being loaded into planes again. Have y'all heard where they sent them? Are they still on Cape Cod? I don't know, but that's just wow. Every single one on the opposite side is saying, oh, one of the funny things they've all said, couldn't they give us a heads up? They could have at least given them a heads up. And what? The southern border gets no heads up. It's just constant. Eagle Pass, Yuma, Arizona, El Dorado, El Paso, Texas. None of these communities get a heads up. But the Democrats are like, give us a heads up and we'll set them up in some B&Bs. Whatever. Well, on sports, did anybody see it yesterday? Go Texas Tech. They beat Texas. That was super. And the last time they beat Texas was in 2008 at home. And I was there twice in my life, where A&M came to town, I want to say in 96. Yeah, 95 or 96. A&M came into Lubbock, ranked number 1, and Tech beat them. And that town blew up, man. It was crazy. And after the game, there was a big fight out by the A&M buses. It made national news. And then like a couple of years after that, we went to a game there, and they were playing Texas, and Texas was ranked number 1, and they beat them. And you ain't never seen, you might have, but man, Lubbock, Texas, when they did that, both of those times, that town, it blew up, man. It was parties 48 hours. It was crazy. And last night, when they won. Kids stormed the field. I told my wife, I said, the University of Texas guys are going, it's that big a deal for y'all to beat us, isn't it? It's that big a deal. This whole town blows up because y'all beat us. And that's where, there's not many other teams that Texas Tech Red Raiders would like to beat more than the Longhorns. And it was a pretty good game. Texas Tech, they always do that. They sneak up and bite somebody. Sneak up and bite them. But if anybody out there, is there anybody out there that knows who the one is? Does the president know? Is that who he takes his orders from? Does Putin know? Is that who he takes his orders from? Who know? Who is it? It's got to be somebody or something that we've never even heard of. We don't even know them. And that's one of the things you keep finding out. Or at least I'll keep noticing. There's always a guy that comes out in the end as, oh, this was the top guy. I never heard of him. You hear about all the subordinates. You hear about their circle of influence. But something has really gone wrong when you finally hear about them. I watched a clip on Congress yesterday about this Shalib Talib from Minnesota. All these heads of the banks are there. And she reads off this legislation that was passed a few years ago. And this legislation, from what I could decipher what she said, told banks that by 2050, they have to have phased out loaning to oil and gas companies. They're going to shut them off by 2050. And she's asking them, will you commit right now to stop lending to oil and gas companies? Do you have a policy in place to stop this activity? First banker she asked, I think is Jamie Dimon. Will you commit? He turns on his microphone. He says, no, that would be a road to hell for America. And turns off his microphone. And she goes, I wouldn't expect anything else from you. You know what? I hope everybody that's got student loans and they're in debt closes their accounts at your bank. There's people out there suffering under student debt and you don't care. Wait a minute. This has nothing to do with student debt. You ask him about cutting off supplies to oil and gas companies to quit giving them money. And when he said, no, that's a road to hell for America, you jumped on him about student loans. What the fuck is that? Where are you coming from? It's crazy out there. It's just freaking crazy. How do these people keep faking their way through life with little to no knowledge of most subjects that they encounter? That's bad. That's real bad. Because you got to know, AOC knows nothing about infrastructure. She knows nothing about oil and gas. She knows nothing about immigration. She knows nothing about these subjects that are put in her lap. And make a decision. Make a decision for us. Tell us what you think. Wow. This is crazy. I watched a clip on Ted Cruz. They were trying to pass legislation. I tried to sneak it through that if you're caught in the country illegally and you claim asylum, then you automatically, no matter your actual status, no matter a background check, no matter what, if you say the words, you automatically kick in all the constitutional rights. And they say in it that those people won't be investigated for their immigration status unless they've broken a law. If law enforcement gets involved, then they'll do a background check on them. Then they'll start checking to see if they're a quality person or not. But if they haven't done that, we're not going to get involved. It's like they broke a law coming in illegally. Is that not good enough? They act like it's not even against the law anymore. That if they show up and they walk up to a cop or a border patrol agent and go, I need asylum. It's like, well, come on, buddy. Let me take you to a hotel, get you some food in you, get you some new clothes, and get you a smartphone, and get you a lawyer, and put some money in your pocket. Welcome. But if I go down to local welfare office and tell them, down and out, family can't eat, I ain't got no food, I'm out of money, I need help, and they'll be like, so here, fill out these forms. Go away. They ain't gonna help me. They're not gonna do anything. Not gonna do a thing. And I'm a citizen. What do you do? Who's the one? Who's in charge? Who is it? I know God is in my world, but this material world, this secular world, wow, it's crazy. Oh, another question I keep seeing pop up on these little quick videos of preachers. Keep hearing a bunch of them say, you have to have a church. You have to go to a church. One guy even said, I have people tell me all the time that they go by the Bible verse where the Bible says, where there are two or more gathered in my name, I so will be there. He says, that's not going to church. That's not good enough. He says, what do you do if you're a single person and you wake up in the morning and you need the Lord? You need to pray to the Lord. You need conference with the Lord. What do you do? Go next door to your neighbor and wake them up and go, hey, I need to have two or more so the presence of God can be with me. Wow. These people are guiding people in their spiritual world. It's scary. It's scary. Telling people, even when you wake up in the morning, you don't have a church. Your prayers, they're worthless. You got to go get another person. I never heard anything like that. That's pretty crazy. But okay, that's what they do. But what do we do with these churches? I saw Billy Graham going, people say they don't want to, how do I find a church? I can't find a good church. And he basically says, well, you got to take good with bad when you go to find a church, because we're all humans and nobody's perfect. Well, I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but when you walk into a church, and I think most Christians that watch my channel would understand that, you feel the presence of the Lord, you feel that vibration, you feel that frequency, or you don't. When the music starts, when the preaching starts, you either feel it, it's there, or it's not. And I've been in lots of churches that it wasn't. I've been in a few churches that every now and then, you feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. But most of the time, it's just kind of cold. People just sitting listening without hearing, Like the song says, people listen without hearing, people talk without saying a word. And that's all their vibration, man. That's their frequency. I watched a crazy deal about, look up the Hutchison effect. There's this Canadian guy who does levitation. He knows how to use electromagnets and electricity and stuff and levitate objects. He has some great demonstrations where he had a table with a bowling ball on it and like a teacup and a pair of pliers, and he turns his deal on and the teacup goes and the metal pliers go, and then the bowling ball goes. I mean, whoosh, They just take off. They levitate. Well, it was a crazy picture. It showed the outside of his apartment. He was on the second floor, and there's his balcony, and there it looks like a refinery. There's all kinds of metal pipes and big metal plate with bolts in it, and I mean all kinds of shit. This was in his apartment. That's crazy. The Canadian government finally shut him down, and took a lot of his shit. But that guy was onto it. He's got those videos where he takes a billet of steel, squirt billet of steel, turns on his frequency, and that shit melts. Just melts. Pretty crazy. Has wrenches, big old metal wrenches. Turn it on, things just break in half. Like, turns that shit to dust. Dustification. We've all seen that, direct energy weapons. Dustification. But this is, he can concentrate it, right here in this room on this table to that one thing. Pretty crazy. Look it up. Hutchison effect. The guy was a genius. Speaking of frequency, out in the back, have one little spot, had some trees, have a chair there. Sit there with the dogs. Then outside the fence, another little area, have a chair. Watch the dogs, let them run. And we got mosquitoes bad. I have a can by each chair of spray. Well, the other day I go out there, oh crap, it's out. So I thought, frequency. So I looked on YouTube, found a frequency to keep mosquitoes away. Turned it on. And I'm sitting there, I turned it up all the way, and I can't hear nothing. I don't hear a thing. And within 20 seconds of it running, I'm just sitting there looking at it. I'm listening. I'm like, fuck, I don't hear nothing. All of a sudden, bugs all around me. You start hearing them. Man, the volume just goes up on bugs. And, not hardly a sound when I started. And my dogs start looking up. They're looking around. And I sat there for probably 30 minutes. Didn't get a single bite. Usually, by the time I get to the bug spray, I've already got one bite at least. Can't get it on fast enough. Not a bite on me. I'll show you. Not one. That was yesterday. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm just going to turn on that frequency when I go out there. I ain't going to spray that shit on me no more. So try it. I bought one of those foggers, those propane foggers. Man, they put out a good fog. Did that a couple of times. Give it about 10 minutes, let it dissipate, go sit down. Next thing I know, getting bit. That stuff don't work. Don't buy one. They don't work. At least they didn't work here. And this was after I had all the high grass. I had all my shrubs pulled out. Man, in front of my house, it's shrubs and vines and shit growing everywhere. Couldn't get in there to weed eat. Couldn't get in there to clean. Snakes all up in there and shit. It was terrible. Not all that pulled out. And I'm going good old desert landscape. Putting in rocks. Putting in a couple of metal rings that we can plant some flowers in. Nothing that runs. It's crazy out here, man. You can basically sit and watch stuff grow. Well, I've been bouncing all over the place on these subjects, have I not? Pretty fun. But that German politician said 2 weeks ago that yesterday there was supposed to be a big thing happen that people would remember where they were when it happened. I don't know about y'all. I didn't hear anything. I hadn't seen anything big, but everybody does know the 30th, the Vatican. That's their due date. Everybody's got to have all assets transferred back to the Vatican. And tomorrow, I'm going to call a local Catholic church and ask them, in light of this news, did y'all have to shut your accounts down or transfer your accounts to the Vatican? Is there a centralization now where everything will be paid out of there? You still got an account? Do you still have money in your pocket? You know, your ties, do you take them and deposit them and use them, or do you send them in? What's going on? Oh, and Alan, if you watch this, I sent you a text and I called you. You've got some mail here. I need to know if you're still at the same place. You still have the same address. You didn't answer your phone. You didn't answer text. Fine. But you have mail. And then you come to Fauci. Have y'all seen his latest deal? He comes out saying, hey, you know, when the hospitals are being overrun, and, you know, when ICUs are having to be put in the hallways, you have to implement some draconian measures. And when you do that, there are going to be, you know, side effects. There are going to be unintended consequences. We know that. But we had to do what we had to do. No, you didn't. You did not have to do that. You're sitting here telling us you knew there's going to be problems for the young kids. You knew there are going to be problems for the people who are right on the edge with mental stability. You knew it. And you went, worth it. Let's do it. This is well worth it. Wow. If that guy doesn't get any kind of discipline, some kind of retribution on his irresponsibility, it's a bad day in America. This place is going to hell in a handbasket, guys. This is bad. You look at just my lifetime, man. Wow. You think back to, I think back in the 70s, me and my brother, we could find a couple of Coke bottles. We could go sell them at the store, end up with $1.50, and have a pocket full of candy, have something to drink. $1.50 won't even buy a drink, will not buy a candy bar. It won't buy one thing. That's wow. They have just ruined the dollar since I was born. The year I was born, the stock market lost, I think, 25 or 35% drop. 25-35% the year I was born, and then it did it 2 or 3 more times since then. It's done a 50%, a 30%, 37%, and just the 55 years I've been alive. It just devalued. It's the whole time, and the whole time they're telling us this is great, man. Look at this stock market. That's where it's at, baby. I remember the message growing up. Graduate high school. Go to college, invest $100 in IBM, and you'll be rich the rest of your lives. Or AT&T. Wow. By the time I was old enough to do that, those things had already been tarnished. It's back in 1965, 1970. If you'd have put $100 in those accounts, by the 80s and 90s, you'd have $1 million, but you couldn't start when I had a chance to start. My dad, when we bought that first house, and put money in the bank. My mom cashed in her employee profit savings. They used to have those. Those were cool. She cashed that in. They put it in the bank, and we buckled down for about a year. And that money you put in the bank was drawing 20% interest. And within a year, he was able to put a down payment on that house, moved us. I mean, we did well. My dad did well. Our family did well during those times. My dad was pretty good with his money, and we were lucky. But I did see people that, wow. And that time was hard. You know, we go to the grocery store, fill a basket, overflowing, maybe have a second, and it wouldn't even hit $100. Now, you have a hand carry basket, throw it up there. You could hit $100 real quick. It's crazy. And wouldn't it be crazy if we had a dollar that was worth a dollar? Can you imagine? My parents' first house they bought it for $1,800. $1,800. That was big. That was a lot of money. And then the next house we bought, twice as big, way better neighborhood, $25,000. $25,000. That house now is going to sell for $290,000, $300,000. But imagine if the dollar was still worth a dollar and he was able to sell it for $35,000. It'd be like, yes, wow, we've got money. And it was real money. It was worth a dollar. Not anymore. What are you gonna do? Ah, good coffee. Hot. We we know who the one is. We do. If you've turned it over to the Lord, if you laid it all at the cross, if you've accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. I totally believe that. For the last 10 years, me and my wife and my family, it's been like a buffer around us. The things that went wrong weren't that bad, easily overcome. Things that could have been really bad, we got through during lockdown. Didn't phase us. I came in when it's like normal. We didn't suffer from it. And I'd give all that to God. It was the Lord watching out for us. It was Him taking care of us. And going forward, better stick tight to that armor of God and keep it strapped on. It's everywhere. It's freaking everywhere. If this is not the end times of the devil loose, I don't know what it is, because it just nothing else explains it. You cannot sling a dead cat without hitting a corrupt institution, politician, bureaucrat, local official. The people who come did my culvert, the old guy running it tells me he was an engineer at Shell for 25 years, retired, went to work for the city of Orange as a head engineer, retired, went to work for the county as a head engineer, is working for them now. He's 75 years old, still out there doing it. Same guy. He makes the calls. And he completely gave me the sense that if he didn't like me, if he had a bad feeling about me, I wouldn't have got a culvert. He just said no. He seemed like that kind of guy. You know what I mean? It's the era of, I make the decision, you treat me real good, you stroke me the right way, you'll get what you want. If I don't like it, you ain't gonna get it. And that's the macro, of the situation, but it gets bigger. You go above his head. There's probably been guys that have been in the system, riding the system, for a long time. And when I scheduled this, the lady says, "Oh boy, a bunch of people have been putting in culverts." She says, "I'm not sure when we can get to you." I said, "Well, how many I got in front of me?" And she looks over at a little tray and she's 3. And I said, 3. I said, so what are we looking at? Sometime next week? Sometime, what are we looking at? And they said, oh, I'm not sure. He'll call you. Hey, dear. I'm live streaming. Yeah. What's up? But, so I asked him, I said, okay, what are we looking at? She said, well, he'll call you. And, so next day, I see a truck pull up, Roads and Bridges truck. So I go out there and it's just a couple of workers. I'm like, y'all here for me? They're like, no. I said, well, geez, man, we need this culvert put in. We need this creek cleaned out. We ain't got no drainage. Well, they knew my neighbor. And they're like, well, all you had to do was say, he had to tell us and we'd get it fixed. What's your address? And I tell them my address and they're like, okay, well, shoot. And the next day I get a call. Guy says, yeah, can we come put that culvert in the morning? I was like, sweet. I said, can you do it Friday? Because my guy's bringing all the materials on Friday. He says, yeah, okay. So they come first thing. They're here at 8 o'clock, 8:30. Did my culvert. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, we got another one to do today. We better get moving. I said, I got one more. He said, yeah. So don't work too hard.
In there if I go in the fridge.
No, you're fine. No, and he says, yeah, we got one more. It ain't gonna be as big as this one. It's a smaller one. And I'm like, that's your day. That's your day. And we're paying through the teeth for this. And what was funny was it cost me $640 for them with the application fee and paying them to set this culvert. I had to buy the pipe. All they brought was some asphalt to put in over it and pack it around. That's all they brought. And the backhoe dug the hole, rolled it in, filled it in. They were done. $600 for that. That was crazy. And don't my tax dollars pay enough? I mean, God, look at this. Well, I'm almost at an hour, and I spewed all my venom I had, I guess. Don't have anything else that's really bugging me. I guess not. If you let it bug you, this can bring you down. So I got to get it out. It's over. And like I always say, love you all. Good discernment, good vibrations. Take care.